As the Pope seems to be returning back to some sort of health, or but of course, his life seems to hang in the balance. The the media has dug out the prophecies of St Malachy again, which have captivated believers and skeptics alike for centuries, especially because of their apparent relevance to contemporary papal successions. But what exactly are these prophecies? And take should we take them, or should we take the empty uh, plaque, the last empty plaque in St Paul outside the walls, which the king will be visiting next month? Should we take any of this seriously? Should we take the prophecies of Nostradamus seriously? St Malachy was an Irish bishop and Archbishop of Armagh, renowned for his piety and his supposed prophetic gifts. And the prophecies attributed to him consist of 112 Latin phrases, each supposedly describing a future pope. These cryptic phrases range from seemingly precise de sutore osseo, from the bony shoemaker for John the 22nd, whose father was a shoemaker, named Ossa, to maddeningly vague de labore solis, from the toil of the sun, for John Paul II, a phrase variously linked to his Polish origins, and the possible and the links to Copernicus, who happened to share the same city for a while, and solar eclipses on his birth and the day of his funeral. What is remarkable is that these prophecies didn't surface until 1590, more than 400 years after Malachy's death, and their sudden emergence during a papal conclave at a time when one of the candidates, Cardinal Girolamo Simoncelli, seemingly fit for the final prophecy, took the break in pattern, strongly suggests that they were fabricated as political propaganda to bolster his candidacy. The Malachi prophecies are far from unique in the history of esoterica and of arcane texts. Throughout history, there's been a consistent pattern of religious forgeries, from the donation of Constantine to Nostradamus's vague quatrains, all of which conveniently emerge in moments of political or social instability. In the case of Malachi's prophecies, the detailed accuracy of the pre-1590 predictions and the increased vagueness afterwards point to a very human rather than divine origin. It doesn't mean that they are not of value, however, and the problem with fabricated prophecies is not just their deception, but their ability to shape events. And many have taken Malachi's final entry concerning the last pope, Peter the Roman, who will shepherd his flock through tribulation until the destruction of Rome, as an apocalyptic sign. This kind of eschatological fervour it's a long tradition in Christianity, a faith founded on the expectation of an imminent apocalypse. Indeed, from the book of Revelation to millenarian movements throughout history, the idea that we are living in the end of times has never quite faded. This curious footnote aligns with Malachi's prophecies. The Basilica of St. Paul outside the walls in Rome, as I said, features a series of medallions depicting the popes in succession. However, there remains just one empty space, which some believers claim ominously signifies that only one more pope is possible before the end of the church as we know it, and King Charles III is expected to be at the Basilica in April, which will no doubt reignite interest in this supposed sign of the end times. But as with the Malachi prophecies, this is likely more coincidence than conspiracy. The basilica was heavily damaged in a fire in 1823, and the numbering system for popes is itself subject to revision. Historical anti-popes and renumbering have already shifted the count in the past. Rather than an ominous sign, it's simply an unfinished architectural element that's conveniently dovetailed into pre-existing apocalyptic narratives. Even though the Malachi prophecies are almost certainly a 16th century forgery, however, they continue to capture the imagination of many. Why? Because rather like somebody gazing into a cup of tea or into a coffee cup, people see symbols, they see patterns in in water like Nostradamus. Even fake prophecies can reveal certain truths, not about the future, but about the fears and hopes of those who believe in them. Malachi's supposed vision speaks to a Christian worldview in which history is a march towards an inevitable final judgment. And the appeal of prophecy is not in its accuracy, but its inability to provide a framework for interpreting the world's chaos. That, of course, is exactly what the prophet Amos is doing back in the Old Testament. Despite this, it's important to remain skeptical. Many have tried to retroactively fit historical events into these cryptic mottos, but the matches often require significant stretching. If Malachi had truly foreseen future popes, his prophecies should be just as specific for the modern era as they were for the 12th to the 16th centuries, but they are not. As intriguing as the Malachi prophecies are, therefore, they don't stand up to rigorous scrutiny. They're most likely an elaborate hoax, yet one that has remarkable staying power. The missing panel at St Paul's outside the walls is equally a dubious sign, one that derives its meaning from those who interpret it rather than from any objective significance. Christianity has always existed in the tension of an imminent yet indefinitely deferred apocalypse. While some may look to the Malachi prophecies for a sign of the end, the more useful lesson may be found in Matthew 6:34. Do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Instead of living in a fear of fabricated eschatology, perhaps we should focus on living well in the present.